This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I am joined by two-time world champion Leigh Wood here in Belfast. Leigh, how are you?
I'm good, mate. It's nice to be back. The last time I came here was very brief. We flew in on a private jet. Sounds really good. That flew in on a private jet. We went in and did my press conference and went, but it was actually more like a flying minibus. It was a racketing that, but it looked good from the outside. But yeah, last time I came was very brief. It was an in and out job, so spent a bit more time here. Seen a few things. Yeah, the people are very good to me, to be honest. There's a lot of fans, you could say, that have turned up and said hello and had some photos. Didn't really expect it. Took me back a little bit, to be honest.
That's something I was going to ask about, because I saw at the weigh-in you was getting quite a few photos being requested, some autographs being signed. I hope you was charging. I saw somebody give you like 20 posters to sign, so I'll see them on eBay later on.
I've been conned a bit. I said to him, look, I'll just do 5. And then I did the 5, and then little kids kept coming up with the same one. I got conned, but it's all good.
Obviously, I know you're here to support Jordan Gill. Maybe keeping your eye on the other outcome if Jordan wasn't to have his hand raised. But going into this fight, Mick's a big favourite. Somewhat seem to perceive people write Jordan off. What does Jordan have to do, from your experience as well, having shared a ring with Michael Conlan, to have his hand raised?
I keep repeating myself like a broken record, but Jordan knows what he needs to do. He knows what his keys to victory are. He knows how to beat him. And you can know how to beat someone, but you still got to go out and do it. He knows that it's going to be a hard fight. Just like me, I know exactly what I need to do, but it's never going to be easy with Mick. He's a very skillful fighter. He's got a lot of experience. One of the best fighters to come out of Ireland. So, it's not an easy task, but it's a task that I think Jordan can be successful in doing.
Has Jordan leaned on you for any advice at all?
I've spoke to him. I want him to win this so bad, This would just be complete for my whole year, the icing on the cake, really. But he knows what, like I said, he knows what he needs to do, and I've spoke to him and I've seen his bit of a scouting report and his keys to victory, things he needs to be aware of, things he needs to be careful of, things he needs to implement straight away, and I'm confident he can do it.
Jordan seems to have had a bit of a tough year as well, so on the back of that defeat to Kiko Martinez, coming back now into this big fight, new training setup. Obviously he's got Barry in the corner, somebody you know very well. His father's going to be there too. How has he found that link up?
I think, I can't speak for him, but he looks extremely confident, focused, red-haired. You can see how cool, calm and composed he is at the weigh-in and the press conference. That's because all the guesswork's took out of it. It's there in front of him. He knows. He looked at some of his previous fights. He's looked at Conlan's previous fights, and he can see it all click together because he understands it. He understands what he needs to do and how he needs to win. When you've got that in your mind, it's basically, I need to worry about what's said before, what's said after, what other people say, what the bookies think, because it's there. All he's got to do is go out and try to implement his plan and do it.
In the past, Leigh, you've said to me that you feel more nervous watching him than what you do when you fight yourself. Going into tomorrow night, people are billing this as somewhat of a crossroads fight. Whoever doesn't come out on top, it might be the end of the road of a boxing journey. It might be harsh to say because Jordan's still very young, if he wasn't to be successful, but has he felt that pressure at all? Have you spoken to him about that sort of things?
Well, first of all, I get more nervous for any of my friends, not because I don't think they can win, but it's like, do you know when you get in when your friend's driving your car or his car and you're in the passenger seat and you're like, it's out of your control, isn't it? So, and then when you're driving, they're the same. They're like, whoa, you're gonna brake or what? You're braking late. It just puts out your control. And it's when I was in control, and I'd love to jump in and do it for him, but that's the beauty of it. He's got to do it himself, and I'm sure he will. What was the second half of that question? I got lost there.
The pressure on Jordan's shoulders to come out on top.
Well, everyone's different. I think Jordan will be thriving on the pressure, and also there's more pressure on Mick than Jordan, if anything. Yeah, Jordan needs to win this fight, but I keep saying this earlier. Boxing needs to be more like UFC. So what if you lose a few fights? It's not. Oh, you should call it a day. You can't beat him or can't beat him. If I'd have called it a day back in 2014, when I got beat for the British title, I'd never give boxing fans some of the best nights in British boxing, or I'd never won a world title or secure my future. You can't listen to other people. You're in control of your own destiny. Boxing needs to be a little bit more like UFC, not like get hammered week in, week out, and then I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is like start putting loads of pressure on lads coming through that get beat, because they can turn their career around, they can learn from the mistakes and go on to become something great.
Just said one interesting thing I'm going to pick up on there. He says, everyone's in control of their own career, their own destiny. You're the man that's in control of a stacked deck in your favour at the minute. You want to fight at the City Ground. Everybody wants to fight you. Josh wants a rematch. Mick wants a rematch if he wins tomorrow night. Joe Cordina's spoken about a potential fight. Emmanuel Navarrete, when I interviewed him, I asked about a fight. He said if the offer's right, he'd travel over. Where do things currently stand with yourself, your next outing, and what ideally for you will be at the City Ground?
If it was up to me, I'll just let everyone else decide, because I feel like it could be, I'm not saying it is, but it could be my last fight. And it's going to be the biggest, best fight. I want it to be the most exciting. I want it to be full. I want that stadium to be full. I want to be making sure I'm getting paid the best I've ever been paid. And yeah, I'm not really picking and choosing someone for an easy fight. I'm not picking and choosing for money, but I want all of them boxes to be ticked. I want it to be full. I want it to be an atmosphere. I want it to be, like a proper atmosphere when I walk out, and I want the fans to go back and forth. And there's only a certain amount of fighters that are going to tick all them boxes. I think Warrington possibly would tick them boxes. I'm not sure if Cordina would, but at the same time, there's a world title up for grabs, and that's important to me as well, to be able to get something else out of it apart from the other things. So I don't know, I don't really care. I don't really care about fight, and that sounds like, honestly, I don't, because I feel in my head like whatever I have to go through in training camp, whatever I have to go through on the night to win against anyone, I will, because I'm not being the first person to fight and headline at the City Ground and losing. So yeah, just whatever really. I'll speak to Ed and make sure I get what I want out of it, and then opponent-wise, whoever he thinks can give me that, really.
Speaking to Eddie and Frank this week, obviously I've asked them about yourself, what's next, and they've said most likely, and the one which would make most sense, is the Josh Warrington rematch. One of the big advantages, where again, Josh or Mick, they have that huge following that would be able to go to the City Ground, and I imagine if you was to get that fight there, you'd want it sold out, you'd want that type of atmosphere you've experienced in the arenas, just on a larger scale. One thing I was interested by, though, is your comments earlier. You said that you feel Josh has been disrespectful since the fight. Can you elaborate for me as to why you feel like that?
Yeah, I can't even remember. I've just forgot half the stuff he said and done now. I'm not even bothered. You'd have thought. I think sometimes he does things to get a bite out of me so that it builds a fight, because maybe he's running out of options. I don't know, but yeah, I feel like if I'd have been knocked out and said and done what he's done after, I'd never do that for a start. But some of the things he said and gone off in the interviews, it's getting boring. I get tagged in them, so I don't see everything, but I get tagged in them. I think, is he still going on about this? And it's getting boring, it's getting repetitive, but you're right. Now he keeps going on about the stoppage and what happened and replaying it, and he must be getting sick of it himself. But the reality of it is, he got knocked down flat on his back. He managed to get up for the count. He was stumbling on over. I went to his corner, clinging onto the ropes, and his own team in the corner was saying turn around, holding his shoulders, turn around. He didn't know what day it was. He didn't know where he was. So that's actually what happened, and everyone could see that with their own eyes. But like I said in my previous interview, if everybody wants me to fight Josh again, and it makes sense, it's like me heading to the biggest fight of my life and my dream fight, the dream venue, and I'm fighting someone I've already beat for more money than I feel like I should just keep my mouth shut and zip it up and do it. But yeah, if that's what everyone wants, then no problem with me. If it's someone else, it's someone else. I'd love to be able to fight for another world title, because like I said, it is a possibility it could be my last fight. So if it is for another world title, the weight above that would, I'd really like that. I would. And don't want Eddie to hear this, but if that means taking less money for that opportunity, then I'd probably do that too. But we'll see what happens. I don't want to say too much.
We'll bleep out where you said less money. Just one final one on all of that then. Is there a name for yourself which sticks out at the front of your mind, which you feel is most realistic or most likely to take place for you next to share the ring again, or new?
I'd say, like, looking at everything, you'd probably say Warrington. But if I had the choice and said, right, numbers aside, we'll make the numbers work, and your own Nottingham faithfuls will fill the ground for you, then it'll be Navarrete because he's number one, and then that'll put me number one for the second time in the division, beating him. So there's a lot to gain. There's a world title on the line. So yeah, like I said, Warrington's probably the front runner just because of the following he's got and how he's convincing everyone that the fight ended. But it was up to me. I prefer to be able to gain more from the fight than just a big payday. And obviously the City Ground fight is what I want a long time. So regardless if there's anything on the line or not, then it'd still be massive for me anyway. But yeah, we've got a lot of conversations to have, meetings to have over the coming weeks and months. So yeah, it's still an exciting time. Don't want to put a down on it, but yeah, it's still an exciting time. And, I've waited a long time for this fight at the City Ground, so I can't wait.
Just one thing on the City Ground, having spoken to Frank earlier, so he said to me by the time the season finishes and you take into account Champions League final, which would make broadcasting a little bit difficult, trying to compare for numbers and what have you, having the pitch getting relayed, take that performing at the City Ground as well. He said there's only one weekend that I think is realistic, and I think he said May 18th. I didn't have a chance to check it back. Is there a pressure on them to make sure if that is May 18th, he delivers, or Matchroom deliver that one date which is available?
Well, I might be mistaken, but I think before my last fight, I put a contract in there to say basically they've got to deliver this fight, and they've got to have it nailed down, date, opponent, everything. He basically agreed by a certain date, and I think it's early next year, within a few months maybe. So the pressure's not really on me, because if they can't do it, I'm sure someone else would love an opportunity to try and make it. So I'm sure they'll be working as hard as they possibly can. I think if anyone can make it, they can make it. Do you know what I mean? So I'll leave it with them.
One thing away from kind of boxing, I know you've still got your career ahead, but you mentioned maybe edging towards another end of your career. We're seeing Tony Bellew in I'm a Celebrity recently. Is it something you've ever maybe thought yourself? Would you reckon we could see you enter the jungle?
No, to be honest, mate. Even this side of the things, doing the cameras, I'm not really that fussed, to be honest. But I won't mind doing a little bit of punditry work here and there. Not in a contract where I'll have to do a certain amount of dates a year. I like to come and go and still be involved a little bit. But when I actually do retire officially, which I'm not sure when it will be, whether I fight again or 2 more times, whatever, or once, I don't know yet. It's fight by fight. But I want to get into motocross properly, like proper. I want to race properly. So I'm going to put all my energy and focus into that, and have a crack at that. And then, yeah, to see my kids more, my family more, my friends more, go away a little bit more, enjoy things that I've missed out on over the last 25 years maybe. But I'll always be involved in boxing. I want to manage a few fighters, and not to gain financially off them, but to help them, because that's what let me down for the biggest part of my career, the management side of things. So I feel like if I can pass on what I know, my knowledge, and guide them and steer them in the right direction as well, that'll make me just feel better.
An interesting thing you said there about motocross, you like getting punched in the face and you like punching people in the face. You're talking about motocross, you like putting your life on the line a little bit. Do you feel like in your life you need that thrill, that adrenaline in your life?
Yeah, my mum used to say, look, if it's not risking your life, you don't feel alive. That's me. Like she said, you're mad. But it's true. Like, I need that buzz. I need to, and also I need something to aim for. I'd feel like if I'm not fighting anymore, I will always train. I'll always box. I'll always put a pair of gloves on most days, to be honest. Even if I do motocross, but I'll need something else to aim for. And if I keep boxing, even though physically I probably could keep boxing till I'm probably 40, because I live well, I train hard, and I do everything I need to do. Like, I just feel like I don't want to keep taking punches and then regret it later on if it catches up with me.
Just a couple of things away from yourself, Leigh, I want to get your thoughts on. You've got a new campmate, a two-time world heavyweight champion in Anthony Joshua. Just get your thoughts. Obviously, he's linked up with Ben. If you've crossed paths at all.
Yeah, I've seen him in the gym. I've seen him in the gym quite a lot before the Warrington fight. Just a down-to-earth, humble guy. I met him years ago. I was on Team GB. I think he was on development at the time. This is a long time ago, 2010 or whatever, 10. And I was on podium for a brief spell, and I remember pulling out the car park, and he drove by. Well, I pulled in the car park, and he drove by, and he stopped. and then he reversed and he put his window down. He was like, "Oh yes, you're right." He just said hello. And the first time I met him, never met him before, and then said hello and that. Then he went. Shows the kind of guy he is, and he's always got time for people. And seen him in the gym a few times, and I feel like he's still got that same focus and mentality. The approach he's got with Ben is like a sponge. He's absorbing all the information. Because a lot of people look at it and think, training with Ben, like, is he mad? But like I've said, like Ben and Leigh and Barry as well, like they are way ahead. Like, and I've said this many times, and people can quote me because I know in 10 years' time they'll be like, "Now, Leigh Wood told us." And I don't even have to tell you. Look at my fights I've won. Been an underdog like time and time again. I'm getting these results. Is it because I'm superhuman, or is it because I've got a mint team? Like, do the maths. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I can see a lot of similarities with AJ and myself. The way he's learning and like he's always asking questions and he wants to know how it works. And you can see him doing it. Like, and other kids in the gym as well, like Shabazz and that. Is like we speak to him and say, "Oh, he's not been getting this," and me and him can just relate to it. Like, because sometimes you're trying to learn something, you don't click straight away, then you get it, and it's like, "Oh, I get it." It's a good feeling when you get it. But yeah, it's hard to explain because you got to experience it. But yeah, he's on the right path, and I can't wait for his fight in December.
He's only had one camp so far with Ben, but when you reflect on your first camp when you teamed up with Ben, what do you feel like you showed him that first fight working with him, and taking it into AJ's context? What do you feel like he will show under just one camp with Ben?
Yeah, so I've got a video on my phone from that first camp with Ben and Leigh and my scouting report, and I spotted loads for that fight. That was a hard fight for my first fight with a new coach and that. But at my age I was at, I couldn't turn it down, and it was kind of like I took a bit of a gamble, like, oh, new gym and didn't know Ben, and Leo persuaded me to go. But I've got like I said, I got a clip from Ben, and he said, for this fight you need to do this, boom, boom, boom. This is how you're going to catch him. And I will release this like probably when I retire, like each fight from every fight I've been with Ben and Leigh, and I'm going to release the segments of before things I was practicing and then how I got the win, and it's actually mind-blowing. Even that little clip, that little statement that he said, and then watching the knockout, the Reece Moore knockout, people are like, wow, that's incredible. And then the next fight with Zukan and that, like, so yeah, it is hard to get your head around the way they do things, because it's completely different, but it makes sense. It's like, it's so simple, but if you don't know, like Ben says, you don't know, you don't know. And as time goes on, and like I said, I'm going to release all these things, and it'll kind of educate a lot of people in the boxing world of them wins that I had and how I did it. And yeah, like I said, it's going to change how people view boxing, and that's a big statement.
So with AJ, what do you feel like we'll see in his first camp under Ben, Leigh, the team? What do you think we will see?
I think you will see AJ be more clear and decisive with what he's doing in there, because I feel like he will know what he needs to do. Whereas previous fights, he's probably had a bit of a, oh, you should do this, but it's kind of a bit apprehensive, thinking, well, don't feel right, or I don't half guessing it, or not confident in what he's doing, but just doing it anyway. I know for this fight he will be clear and decisive, knowing what he needs to do and going out and doing it. And a lot of people say, oh, AJ is probably looking like more like his old self, and that will be because of these things that he's doing.
So what happens on December 23rd?
Without a shadow of a doubt, it's an AJ knockout.
Big call there, Leigh. And then just final one, next weekend, a great fight between Devin Haney and Haney-Prograis. Just want to get your thoughts on that, please, Leigh.
I rate Devin. I do. It's a great fighter.
Somebody else who still works with Ben as well.
Yeah, they do bits together. Yeah. Hard to tell you how that's going to go, because I don't know enough about the program. Not watched enough of the fights, and I'm not an expert when it comes to boxing anyway. I'm not a massive boxing fan, to be honest, but I'm going to take a wild guess and say I'm going to say Haney by points.
Leigh, I appreciate your time as always. Obviously enjoy the rest of your time here in Belfast. Enjoy the show tomorrow night, and thank you for speaking to me.
Thanks a lot, mate. I'll talk to you soon.